Welcome to the Truly Kenya podcast. Thank you for tuning in, whether you are watching us on YouTube or you have tuned in through your favorite podcast platform. Today is really exciting for me because we are giving flowers, okay? Well deserved flowers to Jonelle Allen, award winning Jonelle Allen. So she has won three NAACP awards. She's won a Tony. She's won Critic Choice Awards. You may recognize her from Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. 7 years was on TV as Grace, and just she has lived a very colorful life. And I was told before I interviewed her, oh, she's a real firecracker. I wasn't even ready. Okay. I wasn't even ready for what she's bringing to the table. So we are going to have a good time getting to know, or if you already are familiar with her, then you get to have a conversation with her up close and personal. So with that, thank you again for coming to the Truly Kenya podcast. And I want to welcome you. Flowers.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Kendra. You're fat. You're so pretty.
Oh, sorry. You
And-
are too with that
well,
red lipstick.
oh,
I already commented. I love
Oh, thank you.
brown
Oh,
girls and red
please don't
lipstick.
stop. Don't stop. Don't
No,
stop.
no, fabulous. Fabulous, darling.
Thank you so much. I want to clarify it right away
Oh,
because people
please.
can,
Please.
They Google and do all of
Okay,
this stuff.
Please
It's a-
correct me.
I was nominated for a Tony Award because
Okay.
there'll be somebody up there, Miss Thing lying about getting that award. No, I was
okay.
nominated for a Tony
Which
Award.
few of us could say. Okay.
For Best Actress in a Musical,
Okay.
for the musical version of Shakespeare's Two Gentlemen of Verona, where I played Sylvia, and who is Sylvia? What is she? That all our swains commend her.
Ah,
And for that performance,
yes.
aside from very grateful to
Yes.
have the Tony nomination, but I actually won the Drama Critics Award, the Drama Desk Award, the Outer Circle
Wow.
Critics
Mhm.
Award, and the Theater World Award,
Yes.
which when I got the award, like I was 20 years old, the Theater World
wow.
Award, and they added 4 years to my age and said the wrong date. And when you're 20, you don't
Yes.
care about that. But through the
Oh,
years,
yes.
it's like, and Wikipedia has
Yes.
picked that up and gone with that. And when I tried
now
to
you
like
can't
tell,
get those 4 years
I
back.
exactly. I can't get those 4 years back. But people will say, "Well, she looks great at
Yes.
74," which I am.
Yeah.
But boy, she
You
looks
do.
fabulous at
Yes.
78. So that stuff just
Yes.
follows you around. It follows you around.
So you started in theater.
Yes.
So did you? I hear theater people kind of have their nose like, when it comes to versus Hollywood. Is that true? Is that true?
Well,
You're probably well trained, obviously.
Well,
Like you were trained for theater forever.
Well,
right?
the interesting thing about that is that it's changed so much now,
Okay.
which is really quite
Mhm.
wonderful. But many wonderful theater people,
Mhm.
came out to Hollywood, especially, and this was before my time. I'm
Mhm.
not, from the
Yes.
silent era, but but a lot of times when movies were silent,
Yes.
and they ran to New York when after the jazz singer, because they needed to get voices. They needed to get
Yes.
actors.
Okay.
So many of the actors who became great movie stars back
Yes.
in the golden ages,
Yes.
they all came from,
Yes.
from the theater because they had voices.
Right.
And, but for me, I mean, Two Gentlemen wasn't my first, it was a wonderful show,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful to be, but I was a child actor.
Mhm.
I
read
did
that.
my first show at the age of 5 years
Mhm.
old. I've been a member of Actors Equity since I was
Wow.
5, a
Mhm.
member of SAG since I was 7, and a
Wow.
member of AFTRA since I was 6 years old.
Mhm.
So
Now,
it's
your
crazy.
parents, they weren't in.
Nope, not
So
at all.
How did you end up that young? Like,
Well, there was this back in the day. There was a show called I Love Lucy, which is
Yes.
still on all the
Yes.
time.
Okay.
And so, in the beginning of that show, they would have little cartoon characters of Desi and Lucy
Okay.
dancing to the I Love Lucy theme.
Okay.
And I would get up and dance with the I Love Lucy theme and whatever.
Yeah.
So of course I had like identity problems because I thought I was Lucille Ball.
Oh,
And so,
that's funny.
but what happened was there was the Fred Astaire Dance Studio that was started. I was born and raised in Harlem
Okay.
before gentrification.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and so they had a dance school on 157th Street and Broadway. They took me up there. I'm like I was 3 or 4 years old.
Okay.
And so I'm in dancing school, then a talent scout from a little kiddie show called The Merry Mailman, which sounds like a porno show. But The Merry Mailman, they would take like they would go around the city.
Yes.
And different dance schools, they would put like the dance schools on TV,
Oh, okay.
you know, and they do a little
Okay.
number or do
Yes,
whatever.
yes.
And so they got to my school, and so they put our little dance number on TV.
Mhm.
And of course, I'm center stage
Mhm.
and doing, being adorable. And from that, a children's manager contacted the show
Yes.
and contacted the dance school and called my mom,
Mhm.
who was working and all of that stuff, and my Auntie B, who was
Mhm.
the one who was always with me. My Auntie B, we went to meet this children's agent.
Mhm.
And the next thing I know, I'm standing on a stage auditioning for a play with a great theater woman,
Mhm.
I mean, an icon of the theater. And Helen Hayes, if you don't know the name,
Okay.
Google.
Okay.
And so I get cast in the role,
Yes.
and that started me doing theater. And then at one point, I was working, taking tap dance lessons and
Oh,
and
wow.
all of that,
Mhm.
and working with the great Charlie Atkins, who went on to choreograph all the things for the Motown groups
Oh,
and whatever.
wow. Okay.
And so Sammy Davis Jr.
Okay.
was looking for a little girl to do a tap dance with him on the old Walter Winchell show, Google, who
I got some stuff to Google.
variety show.
Yes.
And to do a takeoff of Bill Robinson and Shirley Temple.
Okay.
And
Know who Shirley Temple is.
right, and Bill Robinson, the great black tap dancer, and Sammy was going to do Bill Robinson, and he wanted a little black girl to be Shirley Temple, which is sort of funny because
Yes.
Shirley Temple married someone, and her
Yes.
name became Shirley Temple
Temple
Black. And so I was the first Shirley
Yes.
Temple Black. And went and worked, Charlie did the choreography.
Yes.
And I went over there to meet Sammy Davis.
Mhm.
And he was doing Mr. Wonderful
Okay.
on Broadway. And so I went backstage, and Cheetah Rivera was in it too.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's when I first met her. She didn't really,
Oh.
she was like a little
Okay.
kid, nice.
Mhm.
Until Charlie said, "Okay, Sammy."
Present your little girl.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And Sammy said, "Okay, what's the choreography going to be?"
Mhm.
And so Charlie said, "The little kid will show you." And so I'm showing Sammy
Yes.
Davis a tap number. And so I got cast and I worked with
Oh,
Sammy.
yes.
And it's funny because years later, I did his variety show called NBC Follies.
Did he remember you at all?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I said, "Remember Mr. Davis?" Blah, blah, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh."
Yeah.
And so,
Oh, okay.
and then later I did his talk show.
Oh, wow.
So it was like I said to him, "I danced with you as a little kid.
Mhm.
Now I'm on a television variety show singing a Rodgers and Hart love song with you.
Mhm.
Next I'll be playing your mother." I mean, because he looked the
Right,
same. I'm
right.
the only one
Oh,
that was
wow.
changing. And but how I got into going into being an adult
Yes.
in
In
theater
Uh-huh.
was an agent who remembered me as a kid. Said, "How old are you now?" Called and said, "How old are you now?" I said, I'm 16. No, I was 70.
Mhm.
He said, "Well, Joseph Patt, who has Shakespeare in the Park, is opening up a new theater called the Public Theater, and it's going to be downtown, and they're opening it up with a new show, and they need energetic, like young people
That is
in this
definitely
show.
you.
And they said, it's a new show and it's called Hair.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I went and auditioned and got cast in the original off-Broadway production of Hair, which opened Joseph Papp's Public Theater, and the Public Theater has gone on to do shows just right now.
Right.
Hamilton
Right.
came out. I mean, many shows.
Yes.
So Joseph Papp, who started the
Uh-huh.
Public Theater, was my mentor, and he and so I was in the original production of Hair, which was so different. The music was the same, although we had no nudity in that particular, you know, when Tom O'Horgan got involved in it, the nudity and stuff came into it when it went to Broadway. But I didn't go to Broadway with it because I felt Hair had run its course, and I was cast in the show of George M. about George M. Cohan with Joel Grey. But how I got to Gentlemen was, I've got so many stories.
Well, let me ask you this, because it seems like you have a lot of experience. During that time period, how was Broadway or the theater what was the experience that maybe you've had in theater during that time period, being
black?
woman?
Oh, well, you know, Joseph Papp was so amazing because
I don't know who Joseph Papp. So is he black or white?
Joseph Poprovsky.
Okay,
but that was his
guy.
name.
Okay,
yes, and he had Shakespeare in the Park, but he always cast people of color in all sorts of roles. Always.
Okay.
This whole thing, and back in the day they called it colorblind casting. You know, it's crazy because and then when I did Two Gentlemen of Verona on Broadway, which first we started in Central Park. It was just supposed to be a summer thing in Central Park. Joe asked me if I'd do it, Joseph Papp, and Mel Shapiro and John Guare, who the great writer, and Mel, the director, they'd just gotten off of doing House of Blue Leaves, and they were asked to come and put together a kind of fun version of Two Gentlemen of Verona. And Galt McDermott, who had written the music for Hair, Jim Rado and Jerry Ragney had written the book and the lyrics, but Galt did the music, and Galt was asked to come in and do the music for Two Gentlemen. So it was just an idea that it was just going to be this fun kind of show. Well, I was cast as Sylvia, the Princess of Milan. So the thing is, I have always played roles. I've always played roles that were quote unquote
for whites or traditionally maybe.
But it's become, to me, it's become crazy with this stuff now. When you have that foundation of playing all sorts of parts and also working on all sorts of parts. You know, when you're studying, you do the classics, you do all sorts of things. You know, you should absolutely, you know, do that. And so for me, I never really thought
it was a race issue period when it came to casting.
Not to me.
Now let me
not
ask
to
you.
me. Not to me. Now,
did
because
you see it around you, or what other black or African black
but during that time, the great Robert Hooke started the Negro Ensemble Company. Barbara Antier started the National Black Theater in New York. We were booming. You know, we were booming. And the thing is that, yes, we were, carrying our flags and had our fists going, and the gay liberation was happening as well. I mean, I had friends people who I knew had died at Stonewall. It was just teeming with things were happening, but creativity was, to me, at its height. Because the thing that's most exciting during trying times is creating art. Is creating art. So that was our focus. That was my focus, and later people would ask me, well, how do you feel? I said, well, I feel fine. But the thing is that I I would not let
Mm-hmm.
someone tell me
Mm-hmm.
who I am. And I didn't really know that. But yes, I had my demons because eventually I drank, you know.
Mm-hmm. And you never really experienced during that time frame or that time period, like, did you ever experience any sort of racism, or you just really got lucky and that was just
Well,
never
the thing is
overtly that you realize, like, whether it's a restaurant, you know what I mean, because you're an actress, I mean, you know what I mean, like,
well, okay. I'll tell this story then.
okay.
In New York, no.
Mm-hmm.
Opening on Broadway in Two Gentlemen of Verona and being hailed a goddess. Really, being hailed this goddess. Bringing the show to Los Angeles, to the Amundsen Theater, the stage managers, you know, or the front, the office there at the Amundsen, they were like, well, I found out they were keeping things from me. And I was like, well, what? They said, well, we've gotten letters. I said, well, I want to see them. And they're like, well, I want to see them.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Did you want to see them, really?
Yeah, of course I did.
Good or bad, you wanted to see
Of
them?
course,
Okay.
of course. Especially when someone says, I don't want you to. It's like, yeah, I want to. Yes, let me see them. So, okay, like I'm saying, in New York, I'm the goddess.
Right.
Out here, there were letters from people who had subscriptions to the Amundsen saying, why do you have this on stage and all these people are after this? I mean, it was crazy. I was like, goddess, gorilla.
Right. Okay, so you read this.
I read this.
And you already know who you are.
So that was my kind of...
This does exist.
This does exist.
Just not mine.
But, and that was my, and because this is 1973.
Okay, all right.
No, 72, 73, California. And so that kind of thing was like, oh, wow. Wow. Yeah. But I was like, oh, really?
Oh. That's what I was going to ask you.
I don't care. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
No way. And so a few years, a couple of years later, I was asked to bring the West Coast premiere of For Color Girls to the Mark Taper.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm like, now those people out there, because the Mark Taper was, part of the Music Center area and everything. I said, those people out there went crazy when one Black woman is up on the stage. What the hell are they going to do with 9 of us? But I did it. Yeah. I did that. We did it, and we had a great cast: Alfre Woodard, Terzana Beverly. I mean, Marilyn Coleman, Candy Brown, just a fabulous cast of women. And the audience was wonderful. None of that. But there was a difference between the audience of the Amundsen, which is a rather old guard kind of thing, and the Taper, which Gordon Davidson had brought an energy that, that was like emulating Joseph Papp in New York. But yes, and so yes, there may have been things that I didn't experience, but I cannot get caught up in somebody else's problem, because and I believe this, and I remember hearing Toni Morrison say this, and when she said it, she articulated it so beautifully, and I wish I could say it the way she did, but I absolutely agreed with it, which was racism is a white problem. You're the one with the problem. I got to be living my life and doing my thing. You're the one getting all upset because I'm living my life and I'm doing my thing. And I will live my life and do my thing.
And you can sit over there
and do whatever
you.
do whatever it is you feel you need to do to stoke your sickness. I do not have time for that. I can't.
Well, so what would you give? So first of all, the fact that it didn't move you when you read those letters or whatever, or people whispered or did whatever they're going to do, that you were still able to stand in the space you were in and move forward and do you the way you wanted to do it. I think that says a lot. I really do. What?
Well, the thing is I don't,
to be so self-assured, I think, during that time and at that age.
The thing is that I had a wonderful woman who was a mentor to me.
I was going to ask you about your mentors.
Mentor. There was several. When Two Gents opened, there was a group of women who sat down with me. And the first one, when I did an interview with the Arts and Leisures of the New York Times, which and on the Sunday they would have the Arts and Leisure section, and they'd have these features and stuff, and it was a big deal. And so I did the Arts and Leisure interview, and he comes up to Harlem, and I'm sitting with my mom and sitting there with my little knee socks on, and he's like, "Well, on stage you're like this, whoa, 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 whoa," and here you are with your little knee socks on, sitting at home, whatever. How do you transform that way? I said, well, I think about my idol who I love. And he said, who's that? I said, Lena Horne. And I said, Lena Horne, blah, 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 and just went on kvelling, as my Yiddish friends say, kvelling about Lena Horne. So it comes out, the article comes out on the Sunday, the Arts and Leisure. Monday, I get to the theater, and backstage there's this big, beautiful bouquet of roses. And I'm like, wow, those are pretty. They said, they're for you. And I open it up. It's for Lena Horne! It's for Lena Horne! And then I'm like, Lena Horne! And then there's this.
She read the article.
Yes, she read the article. And then what happens is her daughter, Gail, was married to the director Sidney Lumet, who, and they, and so Sidney Lumet calls my house.
Oh.
He calls my house. And I'm like, Sidney Lumet. And he said, yeah. Hi. He said, I'm coming to the show with my wife and my kids and my mother-in-law. Will you be able to have go out afterwards and have a bite with us? And so I'm like, your wife, your yes, I think I can. I think I'm free. So they come to the show.
Yes.
Then we go out to Sardi's afterwards. And the kids who are now like 50, I think, Jenny Lumet, who's a producer now, whatever. The kids are, they want to go home. They're kids. And Sidney and Gail are like, we got to take the kids home. And so Gail says, Mother, do you want to go home? And Mother is like, Mother, Lena Horne, Mother. And so the mother, no. And she looks at me, she says, do you want to stay? And I'm like, of course. Of course I will. So they go. Lena Horne and I are at Sardi's having a good time. And then I'm like,
did she give you a nugget? Any piece of advice?
She was, but then afterwards, she's like, I would still want to go out. So I take her to Joe Allen's. And someone at Sardi's like told them at Joe Allen's she's going to be there. And as they walked in, and at Joe Allen's at that time, they had a jukebox. And we walk in, and and they're playing her song day in, day out. And Lena walks in, and they're playing day in, day out. And she walks in, she says, turn that off. And so but that was the beginning of her talking to me. And I would go over to her house,
Oh, you
her
really formed a
apartment.
friendship.
Oh yes,
Oh, yes.
over to
Okay.
her apartment on 79th Street, and she would talk. She would talk to me about the business. She would talk to me about the shoulders she stood on. She gave me an education that was amazing, and she was always available for me for that. And another one who did that with me as well was Pearl Bailey.
Oh, wow.
And Pearl Bailey, Pearl
I bet
Bailey,
their approaches were very different.
yes, but Pearl Bailey would send me books and all that stuff. And when she came to see Two Gentlemen of Verona, she came backstage, and it was at the St. James where she did Hello, Dolly.
Oh, okay.
And so she came backstage and she said, Hell Court, of course. And she's like, Joe, she called me Joe. Joe, remember when you were in Dolly and you said, Miss Bailey, will I ever make it? Will I ever make it? And I said, Joe, you just hang in there, and you will. And look at you now, Joe. You're in my dressing room. And blah. Meanwhile, I was never in Hello, Dolly with her.
You weren't?
I wasn't.
Who do you think she was talking about?
Wonderful. And hopefully you're seeing it now. Josella Reed. Josella Reed was in the show with her. But for some reason, she thought Jonelle was Josella. I wasn't going to. And I got all, she would send me books and send me all sorts of things. And talk,
Did she
talk
ever
to me.
Realize
no, and I never told her. But I did tell Josella years later because
did you tell Josella, don't blow my cover? Okay.
No, well, Miss Bailey had passed away by then, and I said, Josella, I have something I got to tell you. I have books and poems and dinners and all sorts of things that Miss Bailey gave me thinking I was you. And Josella, sweetheart that she is, she really is sweet. She says, thank you so much for telling me that, because I thought she and I were so close. And I was like, well, you were.
You were.
You were.
She loved you.
She loved you, Josella.
She really loved you.
She loved you, Josella. But the most of all, the things that Lena and Pearl Bailey, also Carmen McRae, they were, and Hazel Scott I met. Okay. And what they always said was, do your work. Do your work, and really do not look straight ahead. Do not look from side to side. And do your work, because the more you are committed and rooted in what you're doing, the more people will get upset. She said, because, and also she says, not everyone is going to like you. I said that. She says, that's how life is.
That is how life
that's
is.
like no matter what you're doing, not everyone's going to like you. So if you're doing this because you want to be liked, or you want to be loved, or you want to be adored by something outside of yourself, it'll be sad for you. And I get it now. I didn't get it then. I was just sitting listening to Lena Horne or to Pearl Bailey. I was just listening to them. But it was, and listening I did, listening I did. Another one was very close to Lena, who I was in the company of, was listening, Rita Moreno, who I still see, I run into. But they're driven, they haven't got time to be all you have to be focused, and sometimes it's difficult.
So I think that I don't know if you consider yourself, what a blessing to come across people that were willing to mentor you, or just to even share information, or a conversation, or just a gem. You know what I mean? That even at the time you're not really buying into it, or you don't really understand it, but as you look back, because you respected these women so much, that it is a blessing to
It's
have.
a
Yeah.
blessing, but what saddens me
Hmm.
sometimes is that with all of the, information highway that we have and
Yeah.
all there's so many young people,
Hmm.
you know, who don't know who these people are,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so that's why I'm, right now in the process of mounting a show where I'm talking,
Oh.
through
Yes.
music
Yes. Yes.
and stories and all
Yes.
of this,
Yes.
to talk about the shoulders I stand on,
Oh, wow. Oh, that's so sweet.
because so often sometimes they'll be like, people will be like, and then I wrote, and then but the thing is that we, I come I when I come into a room, when we all come into a room,
Hmm.
we are coming in with with our history,
Hmm.
whether we want to believe it or not.
Right. Right.
And that's why, especially, I say about when someone asks me,
Hmm.
well, what do you think the Black experience or whatever? I
Hmm.
said, we're not monolithic.
Right. That's the truth.
We are not
Hmm.
monolithic.
Hmm.
And that, to me, when people think we're monolithic, I think that's the most narrow-minded thing of
Hmm.
all.
Hmm.
We are not monolithic.
Hmm.
So mm, so I can only speak
Hmm.
from my experience,
Right.
because I don't know what someone else's experience
So,
is.
just based on that, what advice would you have for some young African American or not girl or guy coming up, like just an actor, like
Well, the
what?
thing is, that's why
Yeah.
I've been teaching
Oh,
as
okay.
well. I've been
Okay.
teaching, and I was for a long time involved with Saddleback College
Okay.
down south, and also in down south, meaning
Hmm.
South Orange County,
Okay.
but and also at the Young American College for the
Yeah.
Performing Arts.
So what is?
And the thing most of all that I always tell people is, first of all, learn your craft.
Hmm.
Learn your craft,
Hmm.
read. It's so important to read books.
Hmm.
For instance, if you read Dickens' David Copperfield,
Hmm.
there are characters in that book that the circumstances of these characters, or the emotional things that are driving them,
Hmm.
are every character you'll ever play, ever.
Mm.
So
Mm. Yeah.
read books, know about that.
Hmm.
Also, know about the history from whence you come.
Hmm.
And that's for all of us,
Yes.
because basically most people who gravitate to theater,
Hmm.
they always would feel, and I'm broad brushing it,
Yes.
but I just came back from San Francisco doing workshopping a new work,
Okay.
and which is really quite fascinating. In
Hmm.
fact, it's by a Black playwright. She's fabulous. Her name is
I'm in the
Alicia
Bay Area.
Harris.
Hmm.
Alicia Harris,
Okay.
and in fact, she's was nominated for a Pulitzer
Oh.
Prize.
Oh, wow.
She's
Okay.
amazing,
Okay.
Alicia, just amazing. But anyway, oh, I'm losing my pillow.
Oh.
Excuse me, folks. I've got to do this.
Yeah. Boom. You're back.
Now I'm back. I'm back and I'm black.
Yeah, you're
Hello.
still black.
And still black. I'm back and still black. And so there were, they asked me, they were doing a workshop with, like a kids workshop.
Mhm.
And they asked me if I would maybe come and just a musical workshop.
Okay.
If I come and just look at the kids or
Yeah.
whatever. And what was really interesting is that all of these kids, and usually most of them, are people who don't fit. They feel they don't fit. They feel that something's off. And I tell them, no, 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 no. You embrace you.
Right.
You embrace you. This area, this room that you're in, where you're rehearsing and you're working together and being together, and being accountable and responsible and responsible to each other, and living in the and being in this community. This is a safe place, and you be you, because you are perfect. You are terrific. And these kids started crying. They were just crying because they said, well, in school, people say we're freaks or we're this. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I said, whatever's being said out there, leave that outside the door. But when you're in here and you're together with your peeps and you're doing this, it's like, this is a way to channel whatever's going on, you know. Because to me, acting is a way to, you can exercise your demons in a I believe in a healthy way. I mean, like I was telling you, November 30th, 2020, my life changed. My husband, who was 17 years younger than me, you know, and British, like I said, British man. We and I thought, you know, I had 2 other marriages, and this was the one for me. He was going off to work, going off to work. I get a call 1:30 in the afternoon from the sheriff's department, and they say, "Are you Jenna blah, 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 blah?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what?" Well, your husband, Lee, was driving. His truck went over the curb. It flipped over, smashed against the wall, a wall. He was killed instantly. You know, and it's like,
how long had you been married?
We'd been together for 17 years and married for 3.
So you had to deal with COVID plus losing your husband in 2020.
And I, you know, but it was, you know, I'm grateful for my recovery community, my working out community. I do a thing called Orange Theory.
No, I tried
love
Orange
it.
Theory. Oh, okay.
I
Yeah, you got further than I did.
Oh yeah, I've been doing Orange Theory forever, but that community came up for me. My acting community, they and I have, you know, great stepkids. He had kids. But the thing is 17 years younger, and I would make jokes with him. I said, well, you know, at a certain age, I'll be wearing a diaper and a sippy cup. Will you be there? Yes, darling, I'll be there. Never in a million gazillion years did I think that I would
be here without him.
Exactly. Or he'd be not here. Tomorrow is not promised. But let me continue on, because that happens, and it's like, Then my mom, she's 94. I bring her out to my home in June. Okay. She goes into hospice care in my home, and she passes away in August. So it was.
What month did your husband pass away?
He was November. November 2020, okay. And then this is August 2021. So I'm like, and yes, you know, you go through what you go through, but I'm telling this story having to do with acting, because it was this kind of thing. However, I was offered a role on 911.
Okay. Oh, okay.
911. And which I did. And it was about a woman who's dying of cancer. And she calls the paramedics to come to, not so much for her, but for her daughter, because her daughter's been caretaking her. So it was very emotional. However, because of what had been going on, I was able to take
those emotions
and
put them in that role.
Yes. But to do it, and it's, you know, say it's funny now, but the wonderful Aisha Hines is on the show. She's a wonderful actress, Aisha Hines. And she wrote a beautiful thing, put it on Instagram, was like, she said, watching Jonelle Allen work is like a master class. But because you're there doing your work. Yeah. And they are not knowing the backstory. But from the beginning, you know, the first shot in rehearsal, I'm just processing, and people are just like, how are you and I'm not going to say, well, you see, my husband died, you know, my mom died, you know, it's like, no, you're doing your work. But acting, to me, the creative process, and you can be creative in making a pie, or, you know, taking those energies to put it into something that's going to make you just focus, as opposed to turning it in on yourself and doing damage to you. Right. You know?
But 2020, I mean, you really, I mean, obviously the loss of your husband.
Yes.
You were together 17 years, but you are also dealing with a pandemic that no one understood in 2020.
Right.
So you're dealing with all of that, really all at once.
You know, the thing with that, because I hear, you know, I listen.
I mean, nobody knew. Oh, for us, we didn't know what was going on. You know?
Yeah, but because you live, you know, living your life one day at a time, and really, I mean, yes, I'm sure it was horrible.
So when it came to the pandemic, you weren't really worried. If it was your time, it was your time. Like, it didn't really alter how you were living?
No, it didn't, because, well, it didn't in the respect that, like I said, I've been a member of Actors Equity. Now it's SAG-AFTRA, but it was SAG and AFTRA. And because I've been a member of those unions for a long time, I believe in unions. All the things called pension, and so it never really. And my husband was there too, you know. So it never really, that aspect of it. Was,
I'm not even talking about the financial. I'm just talking about the scare. Just
no, I
love that.
I didn't. I didn't.
I think that's great.
But it's like hindsight is 2020, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're asking me this now, I'm like thinking it was like there was so much going on that I guess the pandemic to me was not. You know, I took precautions and all of that stuff. And believe me, I'm not a hugger.
No?
Which, oh God, no.
Really?
Which if I lose a bet,
you will be.
Inside joke.
Interesting. I would have never.
Oh no. I'm not, you know.
So have you gotten used to your new normal without your husband? Or do you think what process? Like,
the thing that I for me, because it's different for everyone, is I allow myself to feel whatever it is I feel, and however long it takes, however that looks for me, because that loss is always there. The issue with my mom,
Mhm.
because she was 94, however, I do, I miss her so much. Um, it's a different kind of thing
Yeah. Oh, for
because she
sure.
was,
For sure. For sure.
but because she was in New York, with my aunt, whose
Mhm.
birthday is May 9th, my
Mhm.
Auntie Doris.
We share
And
birthdays.
yes. And so, but when she came out to be with me, I really believe she wanted to be with me so she could go.
Because
She,
you were the only child.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. And where my husband is concerned, it's it's a process. Yeah. First, those first
Mhm.
few months in
I'm
the
sure.
year, I mean,
I know people still grieving years,
but
3, 4 years later.
but you go to my house and it just looks like he went to the store. I've not
Oh.
removed anything. I've not checked,
Oh.
but that's
Yes.
for me,
Right. Right.
you
Right.
know.
So do you? Okay. You're vibrant. You're 74 years young. And is it too early, or I don't want to be disrespectful?
What, dating?
Yeah.
I rather eat glass.
Then date.
Ah, I rather have a glass sandwich.
What if you just had a lover? You don't
Oh,
have to date.
please.
Oh,
It
you
is
got
just
on leather. I don't know. You have on leather today.
yes, because
it's very sexual.
am.
Oh my God! And the arms are out. I don't know. Very sexual. I don't know. It's very sexual. I don't know.
At the end of the day.
Look at you with the arms and
at the end of the day.
Yes. Oh, hey. Okay. Oh, Lord. Okay. It's the espresso kicking in. You're fabulous.
The thing is.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's like have a relationship with yourself.
Yes.
That's very important.
I agree.
And oh my God, I forgot. Oh, you talked about sex. Dee Dee Pfeiffer said she hasn't gotten laid yet. Okay, Dee Dee, I've told her. I've said it. She said, when you see Kendra,
right? Because
tell her.
Yeah, we did talk about sex. So you don't miss it. You're not interested in it. I mean,
Mm-mm.
maybe not a real relationship, but just maybe
No.
a little attention.
No.
Really?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, because and I'm not saying that
you have not come across anyone you're like, hey.
Well, yeah, lots of people.
But that's as far as it goes for you.
Yeah. I can see a lot of people and say, "Hi." Yeah. I'm just not going to say, "Ho."
I love it.
I can say, "Hey," but I ain't saying, "Ho."
Right. Oh. Okay, wait. I want to go back because you said your husband was 17 years younger than you. So
yes.
you meet your husband.
Yes.
Does he know your age off the top?
No.
Okay.
No. In fact, that's funny. Eventually, it was like we've been seeing each other for a year, and finally, it's like, okay, I'm gonna tell him my age. So I go at that time. I go 55.
Okay.
And so he went 48, and I was like, yeah, because I'm thinking he knows 1948. That's when I was born. Oh. And he's thinking I was born in 1955, which made me at that time 48. So I just let it go. I didn't say anything more until he asked me to marry him. Because I was like, I don't want to get married.
So you dated him for years?
Yeah, and we lived together. And
then finally he says, hey, I would like to get married. You say, listen, I need to tell you something.
No, that wasn't it. I was like, I didn't want to get, one of the reasons we talked about marriage all through the thing, but I'm thinking I don't want to get married because I've been married twice and this is working. I don't need that. However, I would really have to tell him my real age because you have to put that on a marriage certificate. Right. So I said, I don't have to think about that. But when he asked me, which he got down on one knee, had the ring and everything. And I'm like, And he's like, well, William, we've been together since 15
Wow.
years, whatever. And I went, yes. He said, well, let's choose a date. And I'm like, well, because this was, I forget, like it, maybe this, no, it was like November of,
Okay.
I said, how about August? Because that was our first date, was
Oh,
August
okay.
31st or whatever. So, but leading up to it, I'm like, I have to tell this man the truth. I
Right.
mean, I can't. So finally, I sit him down and I said, Lee, honey, there's something you need to know.
Yes.
Remember that time when we were out and I said 55, you said 48? Well, I thought you meant blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But you thought I meant blah, blah, blah. Well, it's really blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he went, you really look good then. And that was all he
it.
said.
Wow.
Yeah, so the thing with me
Yeah.
is like, somebody you can be that honest with,
for sure.
you can don't have to, you can take your wig off,
Right.
you can do all of that stuff, and it's like,
Yes.
heaven.
Yes.
And to house break somebody else like, oh no, I'd rather eat glass.
Wow. So those kind of days are over for you as you see them right now. The dating.
I'm not gonna, you never say never.
Right.
You never say never.
Yeah.
But right here,
Yeah.
right now, talking to you, Kendra, I know.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something I don't even think about it.
Oh, really? Okay, so you've been married 3 times. You've been divorced twice, married 3 times.
Uh-huh.
So I just recently, I've gone through a 2-year divorce. I'm finally divorced February.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any advice that you would give to me? I'm dating and I'm dating now, but any advice that you would give to me?
Well, if the thing is the most, I've always been, between my first marriage and then the second marriage, I always took a long time
Mm-hmm.
to date or do whatever again, because I always wanted to do that kind of inner work,
Mm-hmm.
inner work.
Mm-hmm.
And because I love when other people, when they say to me, I want to be with somebody who treats me the way I want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And I would sometimes ask, well, how do you treat yourself?
Right. Mm-hmm.
How do you treat yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
like, if you're not liking your life, why the hell do you think somebody else wants to get involved in it?
Right.
I said, but so how do you treat yourself?
Mm-hmm.
What are the things that you do
Mm-hmm.
to make you feel good,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to continue on your trajectory
Mm-hmm.
and not have anything coming in to change it,
Mm-hmm.
to change the trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody who you can be with, who you're helping their trajectory along too, because sometimes you can be with somebody
Right.
and they see, you're beautiful, you're successful, you're doing your thing. Well, I'm just going to hang out over here and hold her purse.
Well, let me tell you.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do know.
Yeah.
And I see it a lot, but that's the one thing that can never happen over here. Okay. All right. So, all right. Now
I'm not saying
no, I get what you're saying.
I'm sort of talking
yes.
just.
No. And I get what you're saying. And I really identify with the, be clear about what you want.
Yes.
And what you need. Right.
Yeah. Be clear about what you want. I mean, you don't go into Starbucks and say, I don't want a coffee. I don't want a croissant. I don't want, when you place your order for what you want,
right. That's
you
what
get
want.
what you want. And that's how we have to place our orders for what we want in our life.
Yes.
Not talking about what we don't want.
Right.
But what we do want.
I totally
And
agree.
that's the law of
I was
attraction.
going to say, yes.
That's the law of attraction.
Yes. Yes.
And that's cool.
That is cool. That is cool. You've had okay, so is there anything as you look back on your life, do you have any regrets at all? Or do you think I really kind of lived the life I wanted? Whether it's with people or just something you wish you would have done
See,
or
I
done differently?
believe I for every drop of rain that falls. No, I believe that there are no wrong choices or right choices.
Mm-hmm.
They're choices,
Mm-hmm.
and some choices I believe that, and I don't call them problems or challenge. I call them growth opportunities.
Okay.
And sometimes some growth opportunities can be more opportunistic
Mhm.
than others,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know. But still, because that was the path that was chosen, there is some lesson that has to be learned.
Mhm.
Otherwise, another path would have been chosen.
Mhm.
So, as opposed to, there's a saying
Mhm.
in a group I belong to that says, we will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will
Mhm.
comprehend serenity and we will know peace.
Mm.
Meaning that what we would have thought was our greatest deficit
Right.
can become our greatest asset if
Mhm.
we are willing to pay the price.
Mm.
And sometimes the price can be a little higher than
I was gonna
others.
say pretty high. Mhm.
But to find the gift
Mhm.
within it.
Mhm. Wow. You know, I think like when I sit across and listen to you, you've lived such truly a full life of love, travel, the profession, career that you've chosen, and you are so vibrant. Like your light really does shine. Like when you walk into the room. I mean, for real. I'm telling you.
Kendra, it takes a lot of darkness to get to the light.
Well, so I was gonna just ask you if I can,
Sure.
because we've really touched on everything good.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, there were some things that you did go through. And if
Yes.
I'm sitting here looking at you, I would have
Yes.
never thought you had really any obstacles
Oh,
or
gosh.
challenges
Oh, gosh.
for where you are today.
Oh, gosh.
But you did suffer from alcoholism or
Yes, I'm still an alcoholic. That'll
Okay,
never
okay.
change. I am an alcoholic.
Mhm.
However, I
But
have
you
been
must have been
sober.
okay.
I've been sober for 35 continuous
Wow.
years. And yes.
But you were you functional? Like you weren't missing work or whatever when you were
Well,
in the
that didn't
and were you
that
what?
didn't happen, although
Okay.
towards the end,
Uh-huh.
I was doing a play at
Mhm.
Los Angeles Theater Center,
Okay.
LATC,
Mhm.
and wonderful play written
Mhm.
by a wonderful playwright. Her name is Marlena Gomard Meyer,
Mhm.
called Etta Jenks,
Mhm.
starring Dee Dee. Oh, Dee Dee, not my Dee Dee Pfeiffer,
Okay.
but another wonderful Dee Dee who just last year won a Tony uh, for Best Actress in a straight
Okay.
play. Dee Dee O'Connell,
Okay.
Deirdre O'Connell, and I was in the play too. and the play was about the seedy side of pornography and the kind of underbelly or whatever. And my character's name was Sherry Chenier, and she believed in metaphysical things or whatever. And what happened was, working on the character, I went to the Bodhi tree here, and on Melrose, I think the Bodhi tree is, and got spiritual books and all of this kind of stuff. But what happened was, on matinee days on Sunday, everyone would go, we'd go to Figueroa Street, but myself and another actress would go to the restaurant, but we'd go at the bar and shoot tequilas. Meanwhile, her character, and I won't say her name because she's still my friend and I love her.
Good. We don't want to call anybody out.
Yeah, I'm not calling anyone out. But her character had a drinking problem in the show. So when she was a little tipsy, coming on stage. Meanwhile, this particular day, I was like, and so we're like standing on stage, this particular scene, like a chorus line. And we come forward and there's a voice that says, and what is your name? And you're supposed to, meanwhile, I've had too many tequilas and I come through. And I told you my character's name is Sherry Chenier, right?
Right.
So they said, what's your name? And I'm like, And Dee Dee says, it's Sherry Chenier. It's not funny now, but it was.
Yes.
So that was a bottom.
A career bottom.
But what happened was, that was like the people who started LATC first. That was first called LAAT.
Okay.
And they all met. They all met in a recovery kind of situation. So for me to hit a bottom in a theater that was started by people who were sober, who understood, it was a godsend. It was a godsend. And that to me was a bottom.
Okay. Yeah.
Of course, the
bottom in the beginning of the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly. And so the thing is, for me, is that there are people who can drink and never be alcoholic. Alcoholism is a disease. It's a disease. It's not a moral issue. It's a disease. And it's also looked upon as a disease by the AMA. And so I have alcoholism. I have whatever that thing is in my brain that when I take one drink, I cannot stop. In that wonderful movie from the 1940s called The Lost Weekend, with that line that was written in that, it was about alcoholism. It says, 1 is too many and 100 is not enough. So they said, well, what was your favorite drink, Jonelle? I said, more.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I'm glad. I am grateful that I found recovery.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's not easy.
Is it still a struggle, or now you just got it?
No, what I know is I have respect for the disease of alcoholism because it kicked my ass. So I do those things. If someone said, these are the things you have to do each day to keep your cancer in remission.
Yeah.
People would be doing it. And that's how I look at my alcoholism. So there are these things that I have to do each day to stay sober. And I do it, thank you, God, freely, for fun and for free, because and most of all is I do not drink no matter what. And in the past couple of years, there have been some no matter what's, and I'm sure there will be more, because that's what life is. Life is like this, up and down, up and down, up and down. If it's straight line, you're dead.
Yeah. If it's straight line, you're dead. You're right. Well, I am glad you're still here. And I know you got many, many, many more years to come. And you are the firecracker that they said you would be. And just, if I could just have a bit of that, when I get to your age, I'm going to be doing fucking fabulous too.
You have it. I mean, come on.
I don't know.
Oh,
we'll
no.
I don't know. At 74, I may be like, fuck, just get me a beach house and I'm good.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
I do live at the beach.
Oh, you do?
I mean, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but thank you so much for coming, and your history and your legacy is so vast.
But I'm still here.
And you're still
here. But I look at it that way. I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm still here. And I'm grateful I'm still here.
Yes. But I do think that we need to celebrate, people while they are still here. Do you know what I mean? So thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, it was really a pleasure. And for some reason, I think you are going to be dating and having sex again. I bet within 5 years. I don't know if you're going to get it before Dee Dee, but.
Well, with virtual stuff, anything is possible.
No, we don't want it virtually. Thank you so much for watching the Truly Kenya podcast, as we have given flowers, well-deserved flowers, to Jonelle Allen. And she has been honest and open, and I hope you found something that you could walk away with. Maybe you've learned something new about her. And I hope if you were a Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman, I hope you found...
And Generations.
Yes. Was that the first Black?
Yes, when Vivica Fox and I did that cat fight, that it's viral all the time.
So so now you know. But we want to thank her, and I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation, because it was open, it was honest. There was nothing. I asked her, "Is there anything that I can't ask you?" And she says no. She was an open book, which are my favorite type of interviews. So with that, thank you. I appreciate you for tuning in to the Truly Kenya podcast. Bye. Tell the people bye.
Goodbye, goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
Oh, okay. True.